Hey everyone, welcome back to Tape Flight Garage. I'm going to do my best to keep this video short and sweet in talking about the double din. I now have some experience every day driving with it and driving in the canyons and all that other kind of stuff. And so I want to answer some questions that I feel like a lot of people might have and address some concerns. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the aesthetic, right? Everyone seems to either love or hate having screens like this in the car. My personal opinion is that the screen in the car does not take away from the rest of the aesthetic at all. And every time I'm in the car, I don't feel like suddenly I'm in a car from the 2020s. I still very much feel like I'm in a car from the 80s. I don't feel like having an additional tool at my disposal suddenly takes away from the rest of the driving experience. So that's number one. Number two, if I'm using any of those tools, let's say I want to change a song or I want to look up an address, or I want to change a radio station or whatever, I'm typically asking Siri to do that while I'm driving. And this head unit is fairly responsive, and the Apple stuff works really well. So I haven't encountered too many situations where the Siri app doesn't work very well and I got to sit there and do it manually. So what that translates to is I'm really focused on driving. And so if I need to look up an address, whatever, I can just ask it real quick. It pops it up and I'm good to go. Or if I want to change a song, I just ask it to play an album or a record or the song that I want to hear, and it does it automatically. And in other cases, then I'll just real quick at a light, no different than any other car, and then I'm right back to driving. So I don't really feel like I'm being distracted by the screen at all, and I don't feel like I'm sitting there glancing at it or glaring at it, etc. Doesn't take away from the driving experience, in my opinion. In fact, I would actually go as far as saying is having the screen is so much more convenient than having an older school radio that just relies solely on Bluetooth or voice activation. Because if the voice app doesn't work, especially for me, I would have to pull my phone out at a light, rush through the app settings or menus, and try to dig through and rush to search and type a song. Super annoying. Whereas having the screen is there, I can just tap and go. Okay, so let's close this video out. In summary, for me personally, having the double din, having all the features that are there and available, does not take away from the driving experience of the car in any way, shape, or form. I'll give you an example. If I'm driving out in the canyons and I'm on a run and I'm coming up on a tight corner and there's a cliff, no guardrail, and all I am focused on is downshifting, rev matching, braking, managing the throttle, managing the balance, trying not to upset the car, feeling the grip, listening to the engine, listening to the exhaust, enjoying myself in my car. Nowhere in that process am I going, yeah, but you know what would make this better? If this stupid screen wasn't in my way and distracting me. The rest of the car is so out of sight when you are really focused on driving that I could have a whole PC in here on my passenger seat with like flashing lights. I'm not going to be thinking about it, So to me, having this is just more of a tool to kind of make the everyday usability of the car, just creature comforts. It helps out in that department. And I don't think in any way does it take away from the overall ethos of what driving a classic car is. I'll give you another example. Look at the design of this car. It's so timeless, right? If I get in there, I feel like I'm in a car from the mid-'80s. If I'm walking around, I feel like I'm looking at a car that is so vastly different from everything else that's on the road and drives so vastly different from everything else on the road. Like nothing about the driving experience, how this car feels modern. I could put all the modern amenities that I want in the car, and in my opinion, it's not going to take away from what the overall ethos or experience of the car is. Now, I understand wanting to keep a car as a time capsule, but in my case, I use my car every single day. So it's not a museum piece. There's no reason for me to not do things to just kind of make my life a little bit easier when I'm driving. Similar examples would be like the MAF setup or the solid state relay or better suspension or better brakes. Like, if you're using your car every day and you would want modern performance or modern aspects, that increased safety or increased reliability. That's how I look at doing an install like this. It really is just another tool in the toolbox to make your everyday life a little bit easier when you're out on the roads. So, and plus, I mean, just check it out. The size of that cubby is perfect for one of these things. It literally looks like it was meant to be there. The real trick is just finding online actual radios that are better fit for that cubby, or cages and all that kind of stuff, and just really taking your time with the install. Because I can understand why, you'd be worried about gaps in the trim or it just looking not really clean or unprofessional. So in that regard, I definitely understand. The other thing I'll say is I definitely understand why some people just wouldn't want to have a screen on all the time, constantly in their face. So what I'll typically do is I'll leave it in this standby mode with just this custom background, nice and basic, clean, nothing flashing on my face or annoying. And if I want the screen off altogether, especially at night, I'll just turn the radio off and it disappears entirely. So with all of that being said, you are more than welcome to disagree with my opinions. You definitely don't have to do this to your car, but I just wanted to share my experience and usability and just kind of answer some of those questions that I feel like a lot of people had, and they might want to do it and they're sort of on the fence, but they don't know. And so hopefully this kind of gives you a good overall view of what it's been like to actually live with it. So appreciate you guys for watching this video. If you'd like to see a specific review on the model that I chose and why I chose it, just let me know in the comments down below, and I'd be happy to make a video like that for you guys. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.